Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So so far we're a week into rifle season. Haven't had any luck yet. I've gotten to get out probably 3 or 4 mornings now. Haven't had any luck. Had that nice little spill on that tree stand. If you guys missed that, you can check it out here. Obviously I'm all right, thankfully. I walked away with, just a couple scrapes on the side, but nothing major, so thankfully someone was looking out for me. But as you guys saw on the last video, we did this wall up there, framed in that wall, and got the door opening ready. Today, you're going to be watching me deal with this overhang here. Now, like I've said in previous videos, I need to cut this overhang off, flush with my house this way, as well as this way, and then we can wrap this with 2x4s, just kind of flat up against here to give me some padding, room for some little really thin outlet boxes and light switch boxes. And then after we get that stuff done, then we can pull the final wiring from inside up through this wall and connect everything up. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started ripping into this stuff. So hopefully this is the last little bit of demo work I have to do on this house, because that would be sweet. Okay, so I got the bottom and the front fascia plate off, and that came off pretty easy. I took my Sawzall, cut all the nails, so that fascia board came off pretty nice, and then just use a pry bar and hammer to pull that bottom soffit plate off. And I was thinking I was gonna have to run my power saw down this shingle line with an old saw blade. Now that's very important, I'll explain why later. But before, when this roof was done, they didn't use like 4x8 sheets of plywood. Instead they just used planking. Now I'm gonna get my level and double check this, but I think the corner is lining up nice with this, it looks like a piece of 1x12. So hopefully it's just this board we gotta take off, and then we can use the chainsaw and just snip these overhangs off the whole way down. Look at this mess. Who the heck's gonna clean this all up? So anyways, now that I have the overhang, the shingles, the wood, the fascia, and the soffit plate all ripped off, I have my, I don't even know what they were at one point in time, maybe like old school actual 2x10s. They were starting to rot on the ends, some of them, so it's actually good. I got these now. Once you get right in line with the house, they're good and solid. And then actually the rest of them down this way are still nice and solid. So basically it was just these last two that were starting to rot. But we're gonna go ahead and get the Sawzall and or chainsaw and just cut these off flush. That way my 2x4 studs can run straight up to my top plate that I will install at a later date. All right, seriously, who's gonna clean this up now? Because Rachel's calling me, and I gotta go do. My mom called, and somebody's got to come clean this up. So I gotta go. Ha ha ha. No, just joking. This was something that I've kind of not really been looking forward to doing just because, you know, you have everything kind of clean and kind of organized, you know, as much as it can be, and then you just go and make a giant mess again. So yeah, I mean, demo's kind of fun, but then you got to do cleanup, and you're like, why the heck did I do that? But got the overhang cut off. Everything's looking nice and straight. One little section right here that I have to deal with. It's not going to take much, just a little bit of, you know, careful sawzawing. Just have a couple things up there I need to worry about. And then we are ready to frame this in and run our wire. Now these windows are coming out, so I'm just going to go ahead and run my framing the way I normally would, and then I can take that out from the inside, as well as this window here. These lights will be coming off. This outlet will be getting flipped around and moved over to here inside. Now don't judge me, but whenever I was changing everything inside, there was an outlet there, and for whatever reason I thought it would be a good idea just to flip that outside. So it's not the beginning of the circuit, but that's why it is on a GFCI, is so that if there was ever any moisture or anything that got into there, it would trip. So I'm going to go ahead and reposition that back inside whenever I take this window out. Now whenever I was cutting these, there is a wire running up top here that drops down to this outlet, as well as these lights. So I had to be pretty careful with that. Like right there, you can see that one going down into the wall for this light. So I had to be pretty careful when I was cutting those couple rafter boards. But now that that's done, that's kind of a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. I'm going to go ahead, get this cleaned up so I can start framing probably tomorrow. Now, one thing I do want to say is that now that that is all open, that goes into the attic. So I do need to plastic off the garage door and make sure that is pretty nice and tight. That way there aren't any bugs and birds and other stuff coming in here, going up into there and making their home. So that's that. Alright, so what you just saw was me making a makeshift door out of plastic. Like I said, this is going to help keep the bugs and birds and whatever else wants to try to come in here and go up into the attic out. Everything's sealed up. I'm going to throw some boards down here to help keep this bottom from blowing in. But I just stapled I stapled this side as well as the top. I didn't staple this side. I stapled 2x4 to the plastic here, and then another one right here just to kind of get some bottom weight. That way, whenever I'm coming in and out, I don't have to walk the whole way around to that man door. Just push this over like that, walk in, bring in whatever I'm bringing in, and then it shuts. So voila, that's how you make a makeshift door. Okay, so we're back here working on this. It's been probably about a week or so since I cut that overhang off. And if you're wondering, hey, that wall looks a little bit different, let me just take a second to fill you guys in on how truly fortunate I am to know the people that I know and to have met the people that I have met. So a couple days ago, a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in it's probably been 6, 7, 8 years, calls me up out of the blue and says, hey man, how's it going? Chit chat and small talk. He said, hey, so I've been watching your videos and you're building that garage at your house. It's looking good. And I said, oh, thanks man, I appreciate that. He says, hey, is that asbestos siding? And I said, yeah, it is. And he said, what is your plans for that? And so I told him my plans. And he said, okay, do you just want it removed? And I said, yeah, you know, that would be ideal, but I heard that's pretty expensive and I need to find a company that does that. And he says, hey, well, I just so happen to do that as part of my job. And I said, no way. And he said, yeah. So they had a couple cancellations. They were looking for some work to fill, and he brought a couple of his guys over and they took care of it for me. And just again, one of those people where it was like, you know, I grew up with this guy and, you know, I've known him for years, just kind of grew apart, lost touch. He hit me up for that. And then I said, all right, man, well, it looks great. You know, they got rid of all the asbestos. He asked me, it ran underneath the trim around the door. He asked me what I wanted done with that. And I said, I mean, I can pop the trim off. He said, no worries, I can get it myself. I just wanted to make sure you were good with that. I said, yeah, that's perfect. So they got it all done. I said, what do I owe you? He said, can you help me in a couple weeks when I'm ready to pour some concrete at my house? And I said, I certainly can. So I'm going to help him out with a small garage floor. He keeps calling it a shed, but I don't know. Seems like kind of a big favor to use on a shed. But either way, thank you very much. He said he didn't want to be listed, you know, so I just said, all right, well, I'm going to thank you on camera. And so thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. You helped me out. So now that the asbestos siding is dealt with, I have these two windows that are going to be coming out, but you know what, let me switch this camera around. So these windows here, they're padded out, so I need to go ahead and get that board out. I need to get this flashing off. I need to get these lights off. I already took care of that outlet there. This wire is dead inside, so that's not, obviously it's not live, it's dead. And then another window, I need to take care of the whatever this board is called here, the padding board. And then there's all these nails I need to go through and pull. He said I can leave the paper, I can rip it off, it's up to me. I might rip it off. Yeah, I'll probably rip it off. So we'll get that stuff dealt with. I need to get this outlet. We're eliminating this outlet because it's actually connected to the outlets inside. That wire comes up here, the power in comes down, power out goes out the top. So I'm just going to cut those and use a junction box up there. Now you can get to that through the attic inside the house, so it's not like we're putting a junction box there and you'll never be able to get to it, so that'll still be in code. Yeah, so a lot to do. I'm gonna get the camera set up and get started. Okay, so I went ahead and I pulled every single nail that was sticking out on this old wood. I pulled off all of the trimming that I could around the window, the two windows, and then I went ahead and found the breaker inside the breaker box for these exterior lights, as well as this outlet. Now my dad stopped down because just kind of wanted to pick his brain about the best way to do this. I was thinking it might be worth just kind of taking all of this wood off and putting a sheet of 5/8 drywall, or I'm sorry, a sheet of 5/8 plywood and then a sheet of 5/8 drywall. He said he thought the wood looked pretty good, which, I mean, it's old, but it does look good. It's still good and solid. Then I was picking his brain about best way to run electrical. I agree with what he said. What we agreed on is pulling this board here. That way I'll be able, I think I might even pull this one here, just because the outlet box, I'm sorry, the switch box, sorry, I'm thinking while I'm talking, should be right around here inside. I need to get to that so that I can replace the one light switch for these lights for a three-way switch. I need to run new wire for a three-way switch to that switch, as well as the switch over there. And then I also need to run power and connect the lights up. I need to remove these lights as well as remove that outlet. So Once again, I'm going to set the camera up on a tripod, put it on time lapse, try to do any narration. If you guys have any questions, drop me a comment. I'll try to get back to you with an appropriate response. But like I've said many times before, I'm not a professional remodeler. I'm not a professional electrician. I have friends that have educated me on some stuff. So yeah, enjoy. Okay, so because I'm a concrete guy, that means I'm really not a fan of getting shocked. So I went out and picked up this nifty little tool from Klein Tools. It is I don't know what it's actually called, a voltage tester. It's a thermometer. There it is right there. This is what it is. But basically there's this little light on the top. Once you turn it on, here, right there, it's off, so you're gonna get nothing. You turn it on and we're still gonna get nothing when you put that up against the hot wire because the power's off. Going over here to something that has power, like this extension cord, don't mind the insulation. I just put that in. I'll cut it off when it gets a little bit tighter, but you put it up against something that has power to it, it's gonna beep. So like right here, it's detecting some sort of electricity, more than likely the neutral side. When you switch it over to the other side, that fast beeping means you have your hot wire right there. So if there's no beeping, like on this outlet, nothing there, nothing there, nothing, where's my other line? Right here. I know that outlet's dead. I know this light is dead, so I can go ahead and cut that. And I know these wires are dead. Now, yes, this is blown-in insulation. Whenever I go to put this stuff back up, I will pack more insulation in there and give myself some better R value. So that's what I'm doing with this. I'm going to go ahead and cut these lights off, wire nut them, and then just bury the wires. I'm going to tape them up and make a note on them saying they're dead, so that if they ever get brought back up, you know, the next homeowners will know this is a dead wire.